Look at the marks on your history and understand that every groove in your skin is a decree of technical survival in the pantheon of nullities you call the past. If you are here waiting for me to teach you a trick to erase what happened or a magic formula to avoid the next impact of raw reality, exit this perimeter now. This channel is not for those seeking anesthesia or the fetid comfort of the wicker pillar. It is for those who demand moral surgery and the expropriation of the residual weakness inhabiting your vault of stupidity. Today, we are going to dissect the most radical and liberating idea of imperial Stoicism, the love of destiny as a strategic asset of war. I know what your ego tries to whisper while protecting itself in the necropolis of pretension. How can one love chaos and loss? Listen here, sleeper. Stop romanticizing your victimization and licking wounds like a spirit without grit. Loving destiny is not an invitation to cheap masochism or the passivity of those inhabiting the mausoleum of the ego. It is having the brutality to accept, embrace, and love everything that happens to you without any exception or emotional footnote. Because absolutely everything is fuel for your monumental and sovereign sculpting. Most people spend their entire lives in a sickly resistance, whining that reality should be different, or that the facts should have taken another turn in the topography of insignificance. You know what that is? A catastrophic waste of vital energy in the vacuum of authority. It is trying to fight a granite hurricane using a paper umbrella and a jelly spine. Destiny does not ask permission to grind your vanity. It simply executes the order. Master your breath, lock your jaw, and accept that what is, simply is. If the weight of the marks awakened your logos, execute your technical movement now. Subscribe to shield your nerve against the seduction of lament and write in the comments, what is the lesson? Will you wear your marks as medals or will you wither away in the exile of reason? Torque now or accept your nullity. Being sculpted by strikes means integrating into your marrow that there is no evolution without the wear of friction and the heat of sovereignty. To love destiny is to recognize that every scar you carry, every stumble that made you kiss the ground, and every betrayal suffered are essential pieces of your puzzle of brute force. It is not about liking the pain, but about understanding that it is the necessary chisel to remove the crust of mediocrity covering your calcined soul. A diamond is not born ready in a showcase for the delight of the mental plebs. It is forged in the deep dark, under crushing pressures and temperatures that would melt any cotton fiber. And you, to shine with the hardness of a real bulwark, must cross the same topography of failure to sediment discipline. Identify the exact point where your will gave way and reinforce that structure now. The pain that transforms you is the same that delivers the temper of a sovereign general in besieged territory. Do not flee from your history like a spectator seeking the exile of reason. Embrace it with the dryness of an aristocrat of chaos. That which you today call ruin, tomorrow you will discover was the indestructible foundation of your new architecture of power and imperial grit. Imagine yourself now before an incandescent pressure, where the weight of destiny falls upon you with the precision of a constant press. You can choose to be the glass that shatters into 1,000 useless pieces, or you can be the steel that gains form and edge with every violent impact against the raw stone. When reality tears an asset from you, it is not taking your ground. It is removing the wicker crutches that prevented you from walking alone in the vanguard of sludge. Map your losses and find the hidden torque in them. Minuterti, forbidden, rupture. Friction is what polishes the surface of your sovereign will. And without the surgical cut of destiny, the diamond is merely a dirty stone in the vault of stupidity. Amor Fati in practice is looking at the worst month of your life and roaring with the grit of one who does not accept defeat. Thank you, destiny. If it weren't for this monumental hell, I would never have discovered the density of the metal inhabiting me and the strength of my sacred logos. It is seeing the strike as an opportunity for technical ascension and not as a curse of bad luck to feed the slave metabolism. Most of you fight desperately against the current of life, trying to control others' moods, resulting in a slow drowning in shallow waters. The Stoic practice is calm in the storm, but understand, this is not cowardly passivity in the monastery of strength. Accept the fact and adjust the course. It is the strategic intelligence of understanding that you do not have the power to change the wind, but you have the sovereign obligation to adjust the granite sails of your ship. It is acting with surgical precision, aligned with the raw and naked reality, and never against the inevitable flow of facts that govern brute existence. Acceptance is not agreement. It is technical recognition of the topography of the terrain. What is, simply is, and your grit must be the unshakable response to the chaos trying to destabilize your spectator pulse. If life hands you an irreparable loss, you have two choices: revolt like a weakling, or transform that burden into a ritual of imperial strengthening and a vault of sovereignty. My life became smaller in external options, but I myself became a giant inside through constant friction. Analyze the damage and extract the armor. This is embracing destiny with an active prefrontal cortex and incinerating the self-deception that keeps you in the lineage of flabbiness. The wound is not a stigma, but technical proof that you survived what tried to destroy your internal structure and your sacred logos. Feel the brutal density of this idea. If you reject what happens to you, you reject your only chance to shine in the empire of ashes. The bellows blow harder when the fire is high, and every negative event is the raw material of your operational sovereignty. If you face reality without fantasies and without psychotic escapes, you become unshakable before the geometry of collapse. Destiny can take what is external, but never your capacity to choose greatness before the absolute and frigid chaos that defines the final frontier of your own self-sculpting. Lock your grit and execute the next step. The world operates as a siege of icy indifference, ignoring your cry for mercy in the topography of human insignificance before the untamable cosmos. The sculpted one does not ask for ease. He demands broad shoulders and a mind dense enough to love difficulty as a beloved master. Now, control the rhythm of your heart, stabilize your base, and feel gravity acting upon your skeleton, because we are entering the purest mechanical execution. Your mission is technical and demands a Herculean courage that the mental plebs simply do not possess in their guts or marrow. You are going to choose now a recent strike from your life, that mark that still throbs and that you keep like a bitter poison in the back of your throat. Open your journal right now and do not dare look for external culprits. Look at the flaw, take a deep breath, and prepare the damage report. We are going to practice brutal Amor Fati with the analytical coldness of a strategist in a besieged battlefield. List 3 fundamental technical lessons that this pinpoint punch brought you and that now compose your intellectual heritage and grit. The scar only transforms into brute force when it is converted into conscious teaching and integrated into your architecture of sovereign power. Forgetting is a weakness that condemns you to repetitive error. Integrating pain is the basis of real power in the vacuum of authority. Every impact has a design purpose and a polishing intention that you only see if you have the courage to look beneath the sweat and effort. Loving destiny is not being a pathetic spectator of your own suffering. It is being an active miner of golden lessons amidst the gravel of life. Transform impact into data and data into a new combat directive. It is having the sovereignty to transform poison into medicine and the fall into a steel trampoline for the next technical victory in the geometry of collapse. Are you going to keep rejecting your story? Or are you going to have the decency to love your scar, damn it? Life is not going to stop testing you because you learned a concept. It will continue to strike you with the regularity of a press in the monastery of brute force. Destiny did not sign any peace pact with your comfort zone or your moral flabbiness. The central question was never if life would hurt, because suffering is the only universal guarantee, but rather what you decide to do with that thermal load. Are you going to use the pain as an excuse to victimize yourself or as high-octane fuel to ascend? Choose the path of the stone. Harden your jaw and advance without looking at the sludge left behind. External pressure is the factor of sedimentation of the fiber that separates diamond from coal in the topography of failure. Loving destiny is the highest form of active resilience a human being can achieve in the territory besieged by mediocrity. It is looking at absolute chaos and roaring with the grit of one who does not accept the decree of nullity. I sustain the weight, and I learn from the strike. Comfort is a silent rust that corrodes the soul and makes you forget your capacity to be granite in the empire of ashes. The strike is the violent reminder that you are still steel and not weak clay in the hands of circumstance and the lymph of submission. The sculpted one demands of himself firmer legs and an increasingly dense mind to withstand the atmospheric pressure of the frigid reality trying to wither his imperial pretension. Weight is necessary for stability. Active resilience has nothing to do with supporting everything passively like a punching bag. It has to do with adjusting under pressure and growing exponentially after every monumental blow. Your destiny is your private forge, and if you fight against the fire, you only consume yourself uselessly in the mausoleum of the ego. If you embrace the heat and place yourself upon the anvil, you use the brute force of destiny to mold yourself into something indestructible and a bulwark of granite. The choice of your state defines who you are in the hierarchy of life. The pebble that complains about the rain or the diamond that gives thanks for the crushing pressure. We have reached the ultimate ultimatum where words lose meaning and only the granite posture remains as a witness to your sovereign will and unshakable grit in the vacuum. Every fiber of your being must be tensioned for the final resistance. The acceptance of raw reality, without filters and without anesthesia, is the mandatory first step toward total sovereignty over yourself. Stop wishing things were different and start being different before what the world presents to you with fury and icy indifference. Go out there now and love your scar as if it were your most valuable medal in the pantheon of brute force. Look at every mark with the pride of one who has been to hell and back with technical trophies, because every scar is the irrefutable technical proof that you were tested and were not destroyed by existential entropy. They form the geographic map of your monumental growth and your imperial overcoming of the sludge of conformity. Life is too short, and time is too scarce to be lived in fetid lament. Torque the pain, transform it into an engine. Imperial grit demands that you do not feel pity for yourself when reality crushes you. The architecture of pain is what sustains your vault of authority in the besieged territory. If the impact broke a rib, use the cast of discipline to weld the grit with more density. There is no room for sentimentalism in the geometry of collapse. The elite operator knows that pressure is a gift from the cosmos to test the integrity of his internal structure. If you yield, the fault lies in your flawed engineering. If you resist, the merit lies in your sovereign will. Embrace difficulty like one embracing a weapon on the battlefield. Every obstacle is a granite step in your ascent to the sovereignty of grit. The world is indifferent to your effort, but you must be relentless with your own evolution. Breathe the dust of destruction and rise. The granite foundation does not tremble before the roar of the storm. The bulwark of your identity must be built upon the wreckage of your worst defeats. Use the cement of repetition to plug the cracks of fear. The forge master does not complain about the heat. He uses it to mold destiny with calloused hands. Amor Fati is the secret of the sovereigns who transform the exile of reason into an empire of grit and power. Every punch you received was an investment in your temper. Do not waste this emotional capital with the lament of a slave. Torque your pain to the center of the engine and accelerate toward your technical sovereignty. Reality is your chisel, and you are the stone that decides to be a statue or gravel. Choose the monument. Choose the density. Choose to be the granite that survives time and chaos. The command is simple. Turn to stone. High command orders demand that you stabilize your pulse in the center of the rubble. Breathe in 4 counts. Lock your jaw and map 3 exit variables while chaos operates your external destruction. If the world crumbles, your spine must be the only granite pillar sustaining the vault of sovereignty. Do not look for culprits. Look for mechanical solutions. Maintain silence while the plebs scream for mercy. Your grit is the only currency that buys freedom in the besieged territory. Every decision must be a decree of order in the vacuum of insignificance. If the load increases, your density must double. There is no room for error or aristocratic hesitation. The millimetric execution of discipline is what staunches the moral bleeding and cauterizes the ego, hungry for validation. Analyze the scenario, choose the point of impact, and strike. Identify the point of rupture and reinforce it with the steel of repetition. Warfare engineering does not admit nostalgia or attachment to what was destroyed. If one arm of your strategy falls, use the other to strike reality until it bows to your sovereign will. The command is imperial. Do not ask permission to exist with strength. Expropriate weakness from every cell and sediment your presence like an impassable wall. The next step is the only one that matters. The past is merely landfill material for your new foundation. Learn to breathe in the vacuum and find comfort in the heat of battle. Flabbiness is a death sentence that you refuse to serve. Operative sovereignty is born from total control over the only variable that remains, your internal response to monumental disaster. Occupy your post, shield your nerve, and do not retreat a millimeter. Every punch from destiny must meet a stone buffer. If reality runs you over, spit on the ground and bite the asphalt until the pain transforms into torque. Discipline is not a burden. It is the exoskeleton that prevents you from being crushed by the atmospheric pressure of mediocrity. Keep the focus on the center of the impact and neutralize the virus of doubt before it infects your logos. Silence is your bulwark. Action is your decree. Do not explain your pain. Use it to calcine vanity and shield the nerve. Sovereignty of dust is for those who surrender. Sovereignty of granite is for those who embrace destiny with the grit of an architect of shadows. Torque the load now or accept your place in the necropolis of pretension. The war for your soul demands a technical execution without mercy. The target is the collapse of your old self for the ascent of the new. In the monastery of strength, error is an engineering lesson. If the gear jams, use sweat to lubricate the dry effort. There is no glory in rest profaned by hesitation. Technical victory belongs to the one who sustains the maximum load without structural fissure. The survival protocol demands that you be the absolute filter of your own existence. What does not strengthen you must be excommunicated from your immediate perimeter. The expropriation of weakness is a continuous and violent process that admits no truce. Be the hammer of your own will and strike the anvil until your character gains the edge of a razor. Reality is your most worthy opponent. Love the combat like one who loves life itself. The shine of steel is born from constant friction against stone. Without struggle, you are just formless clay in the sludge. Decide to be the iron that cuts the wind of misfortune. Useful scarification is the map of your technical evolution. The value of the calloused nerve exceeds any weaker sensitivity that the mental plebs try to protect. Every mark is a strategic asset, proving your structural resistance under crossfire. Expropriate useless sensitivity and transform trauma into a breastplate of imperial grit. Do not hide your wounds. They are the seals of authenticity of your self-sculpting. In the empire of ashes, the man without scars is the man who never left the monastery of cowardice. Integrated pain is what gives torque to your sovereign will in the vacuum of authority. If you bleed, staunch the moral bleeding with the iron of discipline and continue the advance. The shielded nerve is what allows you to sustain your gaze before the abyss of others' conformity. Identify the scar, feel the grit, and convert trauma into potency. Flight biology must be replaced by granite sovereignty. Every scar tells the story of an impact that was not enough to break your spine. The value of suffering lies in the capacity to transmute impact into operational wisdom. Do not lament the punch. Give thanks for the temper. The man sculpted by strikes does not seek a cure. He seeks the power emanating from the healed wound. Paper sensitivity is what makes the weakling vulnerable to amygdala hijacking. You, on the contrary, must be the master of your own warfare anatomy. The scar is your grit incarnate. Technical proof that destiny tried to grind you and failed miserably. Sovereignty of dust is for the uninjured. The glory of granite is for those marked by the fire of the sovereign and raw reality. Bite reality with what remains of your teeth and do not let go until it bows to your will. The value of the calloused nerve lies in strategic insensitivity. In the besieged territory, feeling too much is an engineering error that leads to volitional collapse. Expropriate wicker sentimentalism and sediment your discipline upon the rubble of your old pains. The elite operator uses the scar as an anchoring point for his operative sovereignty. If the wound still throbs, use that pulse as the metronome of your new routine of dry effort. The excommunication of doubt begins with the brutal acceptance of the marks the world imposed on you. You are not what happened to you. You are the imperial response you give to what happened to you. Every scar is a page from your personal warfare manual. Read, Learn and execute technical vengeance against the mediocrity that tried to level you. The beauty of steel is in the mark of the hammer. Turn the game now. Sustaining the maximum load without structural fissure is the final test of your architecture of power. When disaster operates the collapse, your pulse must remain stabilized by the force of the sacred logos. The imperial column does not bend under pressure. It buries itself deeper into the ground to guarantee the stability of the bulwark. Use controlled breathing techniques to oxygenate the grit and neutralize the spasm of hesitation. The method to survive monumental disaster is keeping the mind focused on the next gear, ignoring the noise of the ruins around. If the weight increases, your resistance must be absolute. There is no room for lament when the load demands every fiber of your sovereign will. Discipline is what keeps the structure standing while the empire of ashes falls. Lock your jaw, focus on the center of gravity, and become the very axis of the world. The bulwark of sand crumbles at the first sign of a storm, but you are the granite that laughs at the hurricane. Keep your jaw locked and your gaze fixed on the event horizon. Stability of the pulse under fire is what separates the elite operator from the formless ghost. If the ground shakes, steady your feet and feel the density of your own technical presence. Operative sovereignty demands that you be the center of gravity of your own universe. Do not seek external support. Become the support that others cannot be. The imperial column is forged in dry effort and the exhaustive repetition of order over chaos. Every fissure avoided is a technical victory of your self-sculpting. Be the master of the load and the architect of unshakable resistance in the territory besieged by terminal mediocrity. The command is to resist until resistance becomes your only reality. The repetition of dry effort is the sacred liturgy of those seeking operative sovereignty in the vacuum. Silence is the tool that muzzles lament and excommunicates doubt before it infects the system. Discipline is not an event. It is a state of constant vigilance against moral flabbiness. Work in the shadow. Refine the strike in the darkness, and let the impact speak for itself in the empire of ashes. Doubt is a virus that must be isolated and incinerated by the heat of your sovereign will. In the monastery of strength, silence is what allows you to hear the voice of the sacred logos above the cacophony of the mental plebs. Execute the order, maintain the routine, and do not ask for applause for your imperial grit. Dry effort is what polishes the steel until it becomes a mirror of reality. Keep your mouth closed and your arms in rhythmic, functional movement. The excommunication of lament is the first step toward the foundation of a granite sovereignty. If the task is arduous, the silence must be deep. Do not waste oxygen explaining your pain. Use it to torque the load to the top of the bulwark. The liturgy of silence is what shields the nerve against the neurosis of comfort consuming the sleepers. Every repetition is a punch against mediocrity. Every day of discipline is a decree of nullity against your old flabby self. Keep the pulse firm and the focus on the center of the gear. Operative sovereignty is born from the capacity to repeat the necessary until the necessary becomes your own indestructible nature. Be the operator of silence and the master of millimetric execution in the territory besieged by others' insignificance. Silence is not absence. It is concentrated presence. Execute the work. The extermination of the old carcass is the technical prerequisite for the birth of the elite operator in the empire of ashes. The obsolete identity must be incinerated in the fire of operative sovereignty so the logos can assume total hegemony over the system. There is no room for nostalgia or attachment to the wicker skin you wore in the necropolis of pretension. The new self is a bulwark of granite, immune to amygdala hijacking and the homeostasis of moral flabbiness. The hegemony of the logos is what guarantees that every action is a decree of order over existential entropy. You are no longer a ghost. You are the gear that moves the world through the brute force of sovereign will. The birth of the operator is a violent process of expropriation, of residual weakness and imperial grit. Kill the man you were, so the man you must be can finally breathe. Feel the birth of unbreakable density while the lymph of submission is drained from your being. The elite operator does not miss profaned comfort. He finds pleasure in the torty of effort and the dryness of uninterrupted discipline. The old identity was a burden of sand. The new one is a vault of absolute sovereignty. Keep the guard high and the pulse stabilized by the technical certainty of your self-sculpting. The vanguard of sludge was left behind. Ahead, only the topography of imperial victory over terminal mediocrity. You are the lord of your own forge. The sacred logos now inhabits your prefrontal cortex, guiding every strike with the precision of an architect of shadows. The exile of reason is over. Start now to reign over the rubble of your past. Sovereignty is not requested. It is exercised. Take command of your own internal army now. The flabby carcass was incinerated. Only the steel of the elite operator remains on the anvil of life. If you feel the torque of sovereignty in your veins, share this thermal shock with the sleepers and subscribe to sediment your monumental discipline. The next level is not for those who dream. It is for those who execute with imperial grit in the besieged territory. Write, active operator, and prove your fiber is not cotton. Torque the load now, or accept terminal oblivion in the vault of stupidity. Transcendence is for few elite operators. Definitive sealing. The technical sentence is irrevocable. You are the sovereign of your own destiny or the rest of someone else's gear in the empire of ashes. There is no middle ground in the geometry of monumental collapse defining our era. The definitive sealing of the perimeter demands that you keep imperial grit as your only compass in the vacuum of authority. The extermination of flabbiness was executed, and the granite foundation is sedimented by the force of the sacred logos. Keep the pulse firm as the transmission ends, for the true war begins in the silence of your next sovereign decision. Reality was dissected, and the map of the surface was delivered to your calloused hands. Grit is your armor. Discipline is your imperial command. End of technical transmission in the monastery of brute and sovereign force. The target was hit and the system was rebooted under new management. The cycle of the forge ends its instruction stage and begins the stage of millimetric execution in the besieged territory. Do not look back, for nostalgia is the virus that infects grit and softens the steel of sovereign will. Be the bulwark the world tries to break and fails. Every step now is a decree of order over the vault of stupidity consuming the mental plebs. Imperial grit is your only heritage. Self-sculpting is your only destiny. Keep the temper under control and your gaze fixed on the center of the target. Operative sovereignty is your new state of being, unshakable and dense like granite. The time of farce is over. Start now to write your story with the dryness of a general and the strength of a real diamond in the vacuum. Complete sealing, shielded perimeter. Reality is yours to be molded in the strike. Now go and do your duty.